Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're tuning in across the globe. Welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon. Guys and girls, you know the drill. I'm a retired New York City police detective and a 9/11 World Trade Center first responder. And if you like all things true crime related from that police detective's perspective, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when he's available, when we go live or upload another video. Hey, today I wanted to talk to you about Bryan Kohberger. This was breaking yesterday. The trial that is set for October 2nd, 2023, looks like it's going ahead full steam. The judge, we heard hours worth of testimony from the defense side. And I know that we haven't gone live in regards to Bryan Kohberger in a long time. And this is the Idaho 4 college students who were brutally slain, allegedly, by Bryan Kohberger. Zana Knodel, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez. These are the victims. These are the people who we keep close and in our thoughts and prayers, their families. The legal proceedings are a whole mixed bowl of emotions from everybody. There's the people who feel that Bryan Kohberger is the wrong guy, and there's people like myself who feel like the prosecution and the investigators, they got the right guy. And the totality of all the evidence, not just the DNA evidence, but the totality of all the evidence. Example, the phone records, the computer searches, his location with geofencing, his vehicle spotted on numerous cameras in the location, and the DNA evidence and evidence that we don't know about at this point. That's the totality of the evidence. But before I get into the hearing that we heard broadcast all over the internet, I want to say a special thank you to you, the Patreon supporters, the channel members, the moderators, the replay viewers, the folks who leave positive comments down below in the comment section. I want to just say thank you to you, because without our live interactive audience, I'm a live streamer. I'm not a video creator. I don't upload videos. I don't edit videos. What you're getting from me and Ed Wallace when we're live is our perspective from our experience as seasoned detectives with the New York City Police Department. So I want to say thank you to you guys for hanging out with us and always understanding that when we do these live things, there's sometimes snafus and sometimes things that don't go right, but we give it to you from our perspective, and I thank you for being here. Eileen, thank you for joining. Hello. I'm doing good. Hand is a bit swollen, some bruising. It's going to start coming up. I have had, there's a right where this crease is probably, I mean, I'm just assuming, but the doctor told me that's where the incision was made to do the surgery. So this is day 2, and I'm in a little bit of pain, but not that bad. Yeah, Pete is a live streamer, raw, unfiltered, and live. That's the way to go. Hey, by a show of hands here in the chat, who loves the live interactive broadcast and not uploaded, edited stuff? I mean, there may be some of you that like the uploaded and edited stuff, because I like it sometimes too. But these live streams, they give us an opportunity to interact with the audience. And folks like Richella and Pete Pranzo, it's always great to see you guys. So thank you so much for being here. Yeah, the mods are second to none here on Crime Time with DutyRon. You know, they go the extra mile to welcome everybody, but also keep the chat classy. So that's a good thing. Let's take a listen to some coverage from a local station. And thank you for being here, Tara Ellis. Always appreciated. And look, everybody's interested and loves the live streaming. Thank you, Tara. She says live is more interactive. Yeah, I agree. And there's no script. I'm not reading off a script. I'm just giving it to you, right out of my memory, right from the old noggin here. So let's take a listen to this as we hear local coverage. The hearing yesterday was hours long. By a show of hands in the chat, who got a chance to listen to all those hours of the hearing? I certainly didn't. I scaled over it and I listened to some of the finer points. But Ann Taylor, defense for Bryan Kohberger, she's doing a great job of representing her client and defending her client. That's what a defense attorney is supposed to do. And you know what? If he had less than good representation, that opens this up to a mistrial. That opens it up for him at the end to say, hey, I didn't get a fair shake. My defense didn't try everything. And the way I see it, from my point of view, because I've been around criminal defense attorneys for 20 plus years, 30 years, she's doing what she's supposed to do. And that's a good thing, So let's take a listen to some of the coverage.
Idaho College murders is due back in court today as defense attorneys take aim at the DNA evidence at the center of the prosecution's case. ABC's Kana Wentworth has more.
Suspected murderer Bryan Kohberger, accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students at an off-campus home last fall, is heading back to court.
All rise. Thank you very much.
The pivotal hearing largely expected to focus on the DNA that prosecutors say tie Kohberger to the crime. The state claims DNA from his cheek swab is a statistical match to DNA found on the knife sheath discovered underneath victim Madison Mogan. But the defense trying to cast doubt, pushing the state to disclose the materials used during their genetic genealogy investigation, and pointing out 3 other male DNA profiles were also found at the scene as they add yet another genealogist to their team.
One of the main legs of this prosecution is the DNA of Bryan Kohberger that was discovered inside the house. If you can take that out, the prosecution can't stand. That's why the defense is looking for any morsel of information that they can use to undermine the DNA that is undoubtedly going to be used in the prosecution of Mr. Kohberger.
Police zeroed in on Kohberger using DNA, cell phone data, and a white Hyundai Elantra spotted near the crime scene, similar to Kohberger's car. Earlier this month, Kohberger's attorney attempting to explain their client's whereabouts during the murders, saying Mr. Kohberger has long had a habit of going for drives alone. Often, he would go for drives at night. And while the motions pile up, the families are waiting for justice.
The most important motion coming from the family is the scheduling order.
This is Shannon Gray, attorney for the Gonzalez family. For those of you, he looks a little different here. He's got black rimmed glasses. Anybody here? Was anybody here fooled by? And in other words, he looks completely different than some of the previous interviews I've seen him in. So I just wanted to point that out. Some people might say, "Oh, I knew it was him," but he looks completely different, and I like the new look. To be honest with you,
the most important motion coming from the family is the scheduling order. I think that's all of the other motions have some looseness to them, but I think the scheduling order really sets the guideline for the timeframes on how things happen during the trial.
So for now, the trial is still slated to start in early October, but today the defense could learn if they'll be granted the additional information on the DNA analysis that they've been looking for.
So they've been looking for additional information in regards to the DNA analysis, but as Prosecutor Bill Thompson stated in court, we've given you everything with the exception of one piece of evidence that they're still waiting for analysis to come back on. So I'm going to play another piece because, there's so much on this. There is so much on it. But this trial is going to commence as scheduled, as per the Judge John Judge. Hold on, let me just. I did a rookie move. I left my notifications on. So sorry about that, guys. Judge said yesterday in a Latah County courtroom that this trial is set to kick off October 2nd. By a show of hands in the chat, thank you for backing the blue, Gayla. I appreciate that. Gayla Dennison, good friend. By a show of hands in the chat, who feels that the October 2nd kickoff date for this trial is unrealistic? I feel like Latah County and this community wants this trial to move, and they want it to start October 2nd. And contrary to popular opinion, I feel like it's going to go October 2nd. Don't hold me to it because it's just my guess. But I think that this Moscow, Idaho, they want this trial, and the powers that be want this trial to kick off on October 2nd. So let me know what you think. Press a 1 in the chat if you think it's going to go. Press a 2 if you think it's not going to go.
Bryan Kohberger's trial will start in early October like previously planned. Today, a judge denied a motion to pause court proceedings in his case. Kohberger is accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students last fall. And News Channel 7's Abby Davis joins us now. And Abby, you listened in on those hearings. Walk us through what happened.
Well, Shira, the hearing started late this morning and wrapped up around 6. Kohberger's team hoped the judge would pause court proceedings because of alleged issues with his grand jury indictment. The defense wasn't happy about how jurors were selected. They were concerned questionnaires given to those jurors didn't have important clerical information. Kohberger's team also argued for more access to DNA evidence. They claimed the state has not turned over all the evidence in the case, and that investigators found other DNA at the murder scene they haven't gotten the chance to review. But prosecuting attorney Bill Thompson says they've given the defense all the evidence they have, aside from one lab report they're still waiting on.
Everything else along with all the notes is what there is, and it's been provided to the defense. And if they're hoping that there's something else there, it's not there.
So I want to put that back because this is Bill Thompson, this is the Latah County prosecutor, and he stands up in court and says to the judge yesterday, the defense is hoping that there's something there. There's something more there, but there's nothing else there. We've given them everything. And they are prepared to move forward with all of the evidence, the totality of all of this evidence packed together, as we heard in that last report, the cell phone data, the geofencing, the actual videos of Bryan Kohberger's Hyundai Elantra on that street at the time of these alleged murders that took place, that he's alleged to committed. All of this together, and this is why I believe Judge is ready to go forward, is because Bill Thompson is saying you got everything. They're questioning the way they collected the genealogy, and we're just hearing the defense experts. This isn't a trial. They're just trying to challenge the way the prosecution collected this evidence. And we know Ortham Labs was involved in this, and they are a world-class, first-class operation. And I'm confident that they're going to be fine. Let's take a listen again to Bill Thompson telling Judge they have everything.
Everything else along with all the notes.
One lab report they're still waiting on. But prosecuting attorney Bill Thompson says they've given the defense all the evidence they have, aside from one lab report they're still waiting on.
Everything else along with all the notes is what there is, and it's been provided to the defense. And if they're hoping that there's something else there, it's not there.
The defense also called several witnesses, most were DNA genealogy experts. As we've previously reported, Kohberger claims he was out driving alone at the time of the killings and that he could not have murdered the 4 students. If he's convicted, Kohberger faces the death penalty. Judge didn't make a decision.
How many people here are, this is his constitutional right to be clad in a suit and tie. Any defendant in a court of law can wear civilian attire, whether it's a pair of jeans and a polo, and a polo shirt, a dress shirt, a dress suit and tie like Kohberger's in. if it's provided to them by their family or friends. So if someone was to provide any defendant in court with suit and tie, you're able to wear it. And here's a side view of Bryan Kohberger. He looks clean shaven. You know, I mean, I don't want to make this live stream about Kohberger's appearance. He's shaved. He's clean shaven. It looks like he's got he's getting his hair cut, obviously, and that's all provided in lockup in the jail. The suit was provided either by his attorney through his family. The attorneys don't go out and buy suits for their clients. Yeah, he didn't have any cuts on his face. It looks clean shaven, and he's ready. He's ready and in court and presentable. So he's in that small little Latah County jail. But let's take a listen to the rest of this, because I think it's important that we hear. This is some good coverage from this local outlet.
Experts. As we've previously reported, Kohberger claims he was out driving alone at the time of the killings and that he could not have murdered the 4 students. If he's convicted, Kohberger faces the death penalty. Judge didn't make a decision today about any of the DNA evidence. Again, because of the judge's ruling, Kohberger's trial is scheduled to start on October 2nd. Jury selection is set for the week before. As of right now, the trial will be held in Latah County, but Shira, both sides can ask for the trial to move to a different county if they feel like the jury pool is too small. Remember, they want a fair and impartial jury.
Yeah.
You know, and that could be coming, but it's going to just further delay things, but the judge can rule on that really fast. You know, the defense can request for a venue change, and the judge can rule right there at that day, same time, same day that they ask for a change of venue. He can rule against it or for it. But with Judge, he seems to like to absorb stuff maybe for a day or so. He could take his time and wait a day. But I would think that Judge will make a ruling on the change of venue immediately. And in some really high profile trials, and I think of George Floyd, his trial, the trial against those police officers who brutally killed George Floyd. There was no change of venue there, and if there was going to be a change of venue, like, I would think that would be one that would qualify as well. But let me highlight this comment from Brittany Corbin. Genetic genealogy aside, his cheek swab matches. There are way too many coincidences leading to Bryan Kohberger. Prayers for the families and friends of these victims, and all in the community and in the communities back home, where they were raised as well. I want to just say thank you to everybody for being civil in the chat. And again, we try to give both sides of everything when it comes to these cases. We try to look at both sides. This Bryan Kohberger case has got everybody divided, because there's a whole group of people who feel like the prosecution got the wrong guy. There's a whole bunch of people that feel like that the evidence is not enough. And remember, we have to remember this. Thank you, Barbara George, for being a member for 6 months. She says, thank you, DutyRon, for having such an honest and classy chat. So again, for me, I think that Judge is being very thorough here. Everybody has their opinion. Some people think that, he's not doing a good job. I feel like he's doing a great job, given the circumstances of what's happening here in this courtroom. Our good friend Brian Enton, he did a little piece, and I like Brian a lot. And on this piece, it says, breaking news, no decision on motion to compel the DNA profiles. And let's take a listen to what Brian had to say. This was just yesterday, a short time ago.
There is a lot to unpack here. It was a busy, busy day. Court went on for hours. I want to bring in News Nation national correspondent Alex Capriello. He was in the courtroom all day today. He's joining us live outside the Latah County Courthouse. Alex, I know it was a busy day. First of all, I'm interested because it's such a small courtroom and you were right inside. What did you make of Bryan Kohberger today? Sort of what was his vibe in court?
Well, he seemed just about the same as we've seen him in previous hearings, where he doesn't really show much emotion when he comes in. When he first walks in, you can see what many people are interpreting as a smile. It's really more, to me, just a general acknowledgement to his own defense team. He was wearing a gray suit, blue striped tie, not that orange prison jumpsuit that we've seen in the past, but he was clean shaven with his hair gelled. And he really was listening very intensely as today's hearings went on. As you mentioned, it was a marathon today, several hours, I believe more than 5 hours, much longer than the judge was even anticipating. But Bryan Kohberger was listening through it all, taking good notes, mental notes, perhaps, looking at his defense team, looking at the state as they were making their arguments, of course, listening to the 4 witnesses. But really, he didn't show much emotion today, but was very much invested.
Yeah, he always seems very engaged and interested in what's going on, and like he's paying very close attention. What about the victims' families? I know the Gonsalves family was there. Were there any others? Was the courtroom full?
Yes, more full than I've seen in past hearings. Of course, the earliest hearing, the indictment was completely different. That was a packed courthouse. But
Yeah.
other, motion hearings that we've had over the past few weeks, it really hasn't been that full. Today was a little different. We saw it not completely at capacity, but very close to it. To your point, the Gonsalves family was there in attendance. They were sitting about 3 rows behind the prosecution next to their attorney. They also had several other people that were there as a support system that were just sort of uniting around the Gonsalves family. I would say that they also, of course, were paying very close attention, listening, because as Steve Gonsalves told Ashley Banfield last night, this is all about him seeking justice for his daughter and for the 3 other victims. I noticed that Mr. Gonsalves was wearing that bracelet that we've seen him in the past, the one with all 4 victims, Idaho Strong, written around it. And of course, they were being sort of supportive of each other inside those courtroom benches, putting their arms around each other, listening and turning to their attorney every once in a while, and of course paying attention to every word that was spoken. One last note about the Gonsalves family, Brian. After the hearing ended, I approached them and I asked them whether or not there was anything that they wanted to share today that I could share with you tonight. They basically just said they are drained. Today was a very long day with a lot of information, and they just said they need more time to process it all.
Yeah, and also it's just such a small courtroom. The thought that they sit inside that courtroom so close to the man accused of killing. I mean, it's a lot to wrap your mind around. I want to ask you though about these DNA witnesses, because it seemed like most of the day was taken up by the topic of DNA, and I believe it was 4 witnesses who were on the stand discussing the DNA. What a lot of it was complicated, a lot of it dragged on. What would you say the big takeaway was?
Yeah, a lot of it was very industry oriented, a lot of jargon when it comes to DNA investigative techniques. But the overall big picture that I took away was the fact that this type of investigative process is very long, lengthy, and difficult. And I really think that's the point that the defense was trying to make by calling these witnesses up, because it takes a long time to actually match a DNA profile to an unknown individual. One of the witnesses said it took 14 months for her to actually do so in a different case that she was actually examining. So the point being, the defense says, with it taking so long, with so many hands that are involved in it that are trying to make sure that they come to the right conclusion, there's got to be more documentation. There's got to be more filings out there that we do not have right now. Now, to the prosecution's point, they said, listen, we've given you everything that we have. I'm not sure what else you want, because at this point, it just seems like speculation that you believe that there's other things that are out there that you don't have. But really, at this point, the judge is going to listen to both of those arguments. Again, he's going to review the record that was all on the record today, and he'll likely issue a written decision about that later on.
Thank you for watching.
So yeah, I love what he said. Alex said something really great there, is that, the prosecutor, Bill Thompson, is basically saying, you thinking there's something else here or there's more here. Everything that is here in this investigation, you have access to. So they are, and their job is, as a defense team, is to challenge the evidence. The burden of proof is on the state, is on the prosecutor, Bill Thompson, not on the defense. The defense is there. The defense is there to, challenge the state's evidence, and they're doing that. So I feel strongly that Bill Thompson and the Latah County community. They want this trial to move forward. I want to just show you quickly before we go to another piece. Court TV has 44 minutes of coverage. Now, why I like this coverage is because it's not just all the testimony, it's the highlights of the testimony of the experts that Ann Taylor, that's the defense for Bryan Kohberger, she called up yesterday. And it was, some people uploaded it in a 3-part series, but that three-part series was all of the hours that it took. It was like an all-day thing. But thank you for everyone who is in the chat and is participating in that poll. And the poll shows me that 90% of you guys feel like the prosecutor, the question that I presented to you guys, and it's pinned in the chat. The question that I presented to you guys is, do you feel that the prosecution, Bill Thompson, has the right perpetrator? And I just abbreviated by calling him a perp, but that's short for a perpetrator. Do you feel that the prosecution has the right perpetrator in this heinous crime committed against these 4 University of Idaho college students? And 90% of you guys put a 1. 10% were number 2s. So that's telling to me, at least here, for everyone that's watching. Robbie, thank you for the super chat. Gayla, thank you for becoming a new member. Gaylin, saying thank you for becoming a new member. Pippi Longstocking, thank you for becoming a new member. And Karen Bookout, surprised they haven't gone for a change of venue. And we covered that, and I actually segued into that aspect thanks to your super chat. So thank you for that super chat, Karen Bookout. Southwest 4x4 Explorers, she says, would it give an advantage to Bryan Kohberger to rush this case? There's no advantage or disadvantage as far as I'm concerned. They haven't rushed this case. They were hoping that they got that preliminary hearing, and the prosecutor utilized, under the letter of the law, their ability to convene a secret grand jury, which is not anything sneaky. It's not anything that's not authorized under the law. They are allowed to do that. If they weren't allowed to do that, we would hear something about it. What we're hearing about that process and what they did is, it was a brilliant move by the state. They're allowed to do it. It's in their toolbox. That's a tool that they have that they could use. They used it, and there's nothing wrong with it. You see it in a lot of other cases where secret grand juries are convened. Look at Rex Heuermann, the Long Island serial killer, Gilgo Beach 4. The Suffolk County District Attorney, Ray Tierney, he impaneled and has still, right now as we speak, a secret grand jury impaneled. And that secret grand jury is what got Rex Heuermann put behind bars. And the impaneled grand jury, secret grand jury that's in place right now, is working on indicting him on the 4th charge as it pertains to Maureen Brainerd Barnes. So just because you don't like it doesn't mean that there's something wrong or sneaky about it. It's just like in football or in Major League Baseball. They use tactics, and they make moves that help them win a game. And this isn't a game by any means. This is about serving justice for these 4 brutally knife-slain college students. They're looking to get justice because they can't speak anymore for themselves. They're looking for justice for their families. And that's what it's all about. So let's take a peek at this court TV. I'm not going to play all 44 minutes, but I'm going to link it in the description. By a show of hands here in the chat, just put a 1 if you've seen this court TV piece. It's 44 minutes long, but they stop it at some of the highlights. And that's what I like about this, is they go over some of the more important points of the day's events. Rhino Girl, she saw it. Spooky Paws saw it. Heatherlicious saw it. Galen, new channel member, and thank you for that. Karen Solak didn't see it. John Dunn didn't see it. All right, so some didn't. Most did. But listen, I just want to ask you guys, if you're here right now and watching this and you enjoy Crime Time with DutyRon, give this video, and I can't even put my thumb up, give this video a thumbs up right now while we're here. It's free to do that. If you're not yet subscribed to me and Ed Wallace, please consider subscribing. And follow us on social media, all one word, DutyRon. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. We're on all of those platforms under one word, DutyRon. So let's take a peek at this, and let's see what the Court TV had to say.
We have several motions set for today.
Your Honor, in our third motion to compel, we had a section called Standard Lab Discovery. They have provided full discovery for the sheet, the DNA found on the night sheet, but not the other 3.
Your Honor, we didn't realize this was going to be an issue. We had given evidence, everything that we received from the lab. We can't do something that doesn't exist. They're hoping that there's something else there that's not there.
And welcome back to this special hour of coverage of the widower murder retrial. I'm Kelly Craft. Accused quadruple murderer Bryan Kohberger was back in court today. This was for a motions hearing ahead of his October trial. According to our producer in the courtroom, Anna Armez, Kohberger walked into the courtroom, half smiled at the jury, then he took a deep breath, and then the hearing began. The first witness to take the stand was Stephen Mercer. He's a criminal defense attorney who specializes in the use of DNA evidence. He testified about the impact and validity of the DNA evidence found in this case.
How did you become involved in this?
Yeah, so the question was, what would a reasonable defense attorney do when confronted with DNA evidence that needs to be litigated? What are the minimum practice standards? So I'm not here to discuss Idaho's discovery rules or offer legal opinions about constitutional standards. Rather, my area of focus is based on my experience, training, and expertise in forensic DNA litigation, and what a minimum practice standard would be for a reasonably competent trial attorney who must comply with their duty to investigate the case on behalf of their client.
Patricia Seibold wins the best comment of the live stream. DutyRon's after seeing Banfield, cannot agree more with your noble and terrific. You get the comment of the whole live stream, the best one. Congratulations.
And is that because of what you picked when you picked genetic genealogy?
Well, yes. I mean, forensic evidence is often central in the case, and DNA evidence in particular. And so when there's an item, for example, here of an environmental sample of trace DNA evidence that, as I understand it from reviewing the pleadings, was twice tested, first for an STR profile, and then later for a genomic profile. The question becomes, what is the minimum practice standard for an attorney to be effective in your representation of a client given that type of evidence?
When you're talking about 2 samples happen, there's 2 tests happening, why should an attorney know that?
Well, there are a number of reasons why it's crucial for the attorney to investigate any testing of evidence that is central to a case. And again, here it's an environmental sample of trace DNA that is being tested. And so it's essential for the attorney to know, for a number of reasons, about the details of the testing and the investigation when we're talking specifically about forensic genealogy. Number one is there's pretrial concerns. And those pretrial concerns that can be raised would involve suppression issues and potentially Fourth Amendment issues. These are questions that are very much evolving in the state of our litigation. But to understand the viability of a Fourth Amendment challenge, there has to be a factual investigation. There has to be a determination of the conduct that law enforcement undertook during the forensic analysis of the genealogy. So, for example, was it fast and loose? Was there searching of data banks that violated the terms and conditions of those data?
Yeah, so I just wanted to, I want to play this. It goes on for a little bit. I'm going to fast forward it, but this is great because they highlighted all of the defense's expert witnesses. And this gentleman here is hired by Ann Taylor to put doubt on the state's process that they use to collect the evidence. That's why I reached out to Kristen Middleman. She is the Chief Business Development Officer at Ortham Labs, Ortham Incorporated. I'm going to try to get her and her husband on this program. I will take one or the other or both together because they were the ones that were instrumental in creating this this evidence, making it true to use in a court of law for Bryan Kohberger. So I know that she's not going to be able to speak on it, but I want to hear from her the way they collect this DNA and create these profiles in all of these cases and what their company does. And I don't want to give away the shop, but Ed Wallace and I, when she joins us, we're going to speak to her about this very situation. I know in particular she won't be able to speak in regards to the Bryan Kohberger case because it's ongoing litigation, but it is going to be it's going to be interesting to say the least. So let's take a little bit more of a listen, and I'll be back. The trial is set for October 2nd. Let me put myself back on one more time. September 22nd, several additional motions will be heard in Latah County Court. And September 25th, the jury selection is scheduled to begin in the trial against Bryan Kohberger. He is innocent until proven guilty, but he is being charged under the death penalty statute in this case. So if convicted and found, if found guilty, he can face either a firing squad or death by lethal injection. And firing squad is probably the route that they'll go with Bryan Kohberger. So September 25th, jury selection. September 29th, pre-trial conference. So it's going to be great. So we are looking at these dates are coming up, and these are forthcoming. Southwest 4x4 Explorers, thank you for the super chat. CC Moore is definitely a great guest to have come on. But Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick is always ready, willing, and able, and we've had her on. CC Moore doesn't even respond to messages unless it's, national news or, maybe someone that she might know. I've sent her numerous emails and messages over the course of time, not just on this case, but on other cases where I wanted clarification or have her as a guest. But she's busy, and I understand that. But she definitely would be a great guest. But Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick, we could have her come on, and she is a guru when it comes to DNA and forensics and genetic genealogy. So Dr. Colleen Fitzpatrick, I know I can get her at any particular time. Yeah, CC Moore's just being, she's being stretched out by everybody. She can't answer everybody's, emails and stuff. And I understand that. I understand it wholeheartedly. Let's say hello to Kim Alliston, Legal Minded Friends, Karen Cole, Dr. Ed Moskowitz and Julie, Karen Solak. Thank you for being here. Veronica, thank you for that kind word at everyone. I hope each and every one of you are doing well and that you're having a great, safe rest of your day, weekend. I'm so grateful to be a part of this. Veronica, we're thankful. I'm honored that you're here. So thank you.
Was there surreptitious DNA collection from individuals, targeted individuals in family trees? So these are very fact-specific inquiries that the attorney must know in formulating a suppression challenge under the Fourth Amendment, because it's all about reasonable expectations of privacy. And what's really critical here to understand, and this is close to me from my litigation, early on, the government and law enforcement's argument was always there are minimal privacy interests at stake because forensic DNA profiles like a fingerprint, and it says nothing about who the person is.
Again, they are doing the best that they can. They're fishing, whatever you want to, however you perceive it. I perceive it as Ann Taylor and her entire defense team are doing what's right. They're challenging the evidence. They're going to challenge everything. But this is the most damning evidence. This DNA evidence is the most harmful towards Bryan Kohberger, but it's not 110% the whole case. As I always say, the totality of all this evidence compiled against Bryan Kohberger is what is going to get a jury of his peers to see, and they have to believe beyond a reasonable doubt. And reasonable doubt is what Ann Taylor will try to create during the trial. This is pre-trial. This is not a trial. So remember, don't get caught up in this. This is her attempts to suppress evidence that will harm her client. Simple, straightforward.
All right, Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter, she was inside the courtroom. And Chanley, there has been so much going on here with these hearings today. She has a debrief now. Chanley, what do you have for us?
Thanks so much, Kelly. Yeah, what a day it has been inside the Slayton County Courthouse as we've been watching the defense fight by bringing their own expert witnesses in to try to convince this judge to issue an order compelling prosecutors to hand over everything related to the genetic genealogy investigation that was taken under by the FBI in November after these murders happened to try to pinpoint a potential lead on a suspect. And we know that they were able to pinpoint the biological father of the alleged murderer, Bryan Kohberger's father. They then, of course, conducted a cheek swab after his arrest, and it was a match for the touch DNA on the knife sheath left at the crime scene November 13th of last year. So that's why all of this is so important to the defense, because they want to challenge every little step of this investigation. However, prosecutors are countering to the judge that this isn't relevant. This potential investigation that gave them a lead is not part of the case. They would not call any witnesses related to that investigation, and therefore under Idaho Rule 16 it would not qualify as part of the discovery. So the judge is going to have to make this decision at some point, possibly this afternoon. But inside the courtroom, I want to take you in there for what our cameras can't show, and that's the gallery. It is a pretty packed house inside the courtroom. We have media from all over the nation, community members here that we see almost at every hearing when this is before the judge. And we have the family of one of the victims, Kaylee Gonsalves, who earlier today walked inside this door right behind me, and they were solemn yet hopeful. The mother of Kaylee, Christy, told me that she was optimistic as they went into court today with their family attorney, Shannon Gray, and just wanting to make sure that justice is served, that the process of justice is unfolding, that they are informed of every aspect of this. We did notice that the T-shirt of one of the family members is advocating a hashtag justice for Kaylee and an Idaho bill that passed the firing squad as a potential penalty under the death penalty here as an alternate to lethal injection, and that's being worn. As you can see on the screen, they're inside the courtroom during all of this unfolding. So a strong statement on what they feel from that family, which we knew because we have caught up with the family there, and they definitely are advocating for the death penalty.
This is why I respect Court TV in this coverage right here, is because they didn't have to show this part of the coverage. And for me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, this is important, is that they show the real surviving victims, their families, the victims' families. And again, for me, this is so important. You know, I believe this is Madison Mogen's father right here. And we saw the Gonzalez family. This is what's paramount, is that when we have discussions about these cases, and not just this case, but these cases, right? I talk about so many different cases. Summer Wells, our boys in California City, Sincere and Classic, Suzanne Morphew. I could just go on and on and on. These are the folks who this justice means the most to. So when you start slinging out horrific things and putting out nasty messages on social media, who does it hurt? It hurts these folks, because they get to see what you're posting and what you're putting about their slain children and families. It's sickening. So I like that Court TV did this. This is a class act right here. And I would be remiss if I didn't play this, because you guys know what I'm about. And that's the victims and their families.
Christy told me that she was optimistic as they went into court today with their family attorney, Shannon Gray, and just wanting to make sure that justice is served, that the process of justice is unfolding, that they are informed of every aspect of this. We did notice that the T-shirt of one of the family members is advocating a hashtag justice for Kaylee and an Idaho bill that passed the firing squad as a potential penalty under the death penalty here as an alternate to lethal injection, and that's being worn. As you can see on the screen, they're inside the courtroom during all of this unfolding. So a strong statement on what they feel from that family, which we knew because we have caught up with the family there, and they definitely are advocating for the death penalty. But that's why, according to the judge, these motions are so important, because this is a capital case. They want to make sure they cross all the T's and dot all the I's. And just, Kelly, coming up next, we are expecting, there's a short court break this afternoon, but we are expecting several more motions to be taken up. We're only on number 1 of 6. Will we run out of time? We don't know yet, but we do have another motion from the defense asking for a second stay in the proceedings. They want more of a delay without waiving the speedy trial right of the defendant. And then there's a handful of motions from the prosecution, including one about the alibi, demanding more specifics there. So a lot more to come today, hopefully here in Moscow. But for now, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Shanley, thank you so much. All right, we do need to take a quick break, but we'll have more coverage of the.
So I wanted to highlight a comment. I'm trying to find it. Hold on, where is it? Where the heck did that comment go? Oh, here it is. All right, let me put myself back on. Aurora Dawn says, this case is very strange. None of it makes sense. Plus all the lies being put out by Bryan Kohberger and the live victims. I noticed Court TV placed up non-facts as facts. And let me just say this. Here's where the problem lies, is Aurora Dawn's statement is based on everything that she's hearing out there on Facebook, on YouTube, on people who speculate, and people. If you want to not be confused about this trial, watch when the trial kicks off, what the prosecution presents at trial, and don't pay attention to all the hogwash that's being spewed, the venom that's being spewed by speculators that do not know the inside information that only the prosecutor and the defense have now. When you go down these dark alleys and these nasty streets, they can be on YouTube and TikTok and all over the place, where people spew their venom. This is how people like Aurora Dawn get confused and make a statement just like this. So when you see this case kick off and the trial starts, Aurora Dawn and all the rest of you guys, listen up and see all the misinformation that was being force-fed to you and being spoon-fed to you by all these jagaloons. Where's my sign? I can't grab it. Hold on, I got to reach across the table. I'm fighting to get the sign because I couldn't use my left hand. Ow. That's what's causing confusion. The jagaloons. This is a no jagaloon zone. This is a no jagaloon zone. That's creepy. I created that a long time ago and I never got a chance to use it. So I like that. This is a no jagaloon zone. If you're a jagaloon, here's the door. Jagaloons, get out. This is a no jagaloon zone.
Oh, hell no.
Sorry, guys. I had to do that. Just brought me to that point. All right. Only on Court TV. Hold on a second. There's a little bit more that I want you guys to listen to. Hold on a second.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are continuing with the burglary charge in the deaths of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin.
Closing arguments tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
And welcome back to Court TV Live. We are continuing with our coverage of the Idaho College student murders case. Bryan Kohberger is charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and a felony burglary charge in the deaths of Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. Key DNA evidence was found on a knife sheath at the crime scene. Police were able to tie it to a relative of Kohberger's, ultimately leading to his arrest. At today's hearing, we heard from a criminal defense attorney who specializes in the use of DNA evidence. He testified about the validity of the DNA evidence found in this case.
One produced a STR profile that I understand from the
when you can't even determine what
So I fast forward
hearings,
that.
we have trial and civil attorney Dante Mills. Hi, Dante. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So, Dante, we're listening to Stephen Mercer. He's a criminal.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to link this entire video in the description. I'm going to link this video down below in the description. I had surgery on my hand on Thursday, minor surgery on my thumb right here. I'm going to be fine. I should be back to work sometime soon next week. Head back to the office and start doing normal stuff. But it's a relatively quick recovery, 2 weeks. In another, I think, 5 days, I'm going to get the stitches taken out and this bandage taken off, and I should be good. Ed Wallace is in the chat. He's checking in from an undisclosed location. Let's see what Ed has to say. Always like to highlight Ed Wallace's comments. Where did he go? I don't see him. Oh, there he is. Ed Wallace says, I watched the hearing. The DNA evidence is damning, and the defense is trying anything that they can to discredit it, just as I stated in the opening here. And it's not going to work. And you know what, Ed, I'm on that same page. I believe that this trial is going to start very close to October 2nd, if not on October 2nd. They seem very, very focused on having this trial kick off as scheduled October 2nd. Now, there always could be some things that come up that may delay it a little bit, but it looks like Judge John Judge is going to make sure that this thing kicks off. So it is what it is. I appreciate everybody being here. I thank you for listening. Again, I'm going to link everything in the description that we discussed here today. Let's say hello to a couple of folks in the chat. Sean B is here. My good friend Karen Cole, Legal Minded Friends, Holly Go Lightly, Agati, thank you. Team Brittany, thank you for being a moderator and helping out with the chat. Dawn Marie saying hello to Profiling Evil. Mike King, if you're here, hello, brother. Good to see you. Thank you for joining. Mark, thank you for the super chat earlier. Mark Zayas, the manager of the warehouse where I work at the Amazon affiliate. So thank you, Mark, for your support, and I'll see you at the office sometime soon. Who knows when I'll be back, but good to see you. Profiling Evil, there he is, Mike King. Hey, well said, Ron. Be on the road for a couple of weeks and starting to re-engage. Enjoy the day and keep the gun hand healthy. This is my left hand, so I'm a righty, so I shoot from the right side. But yeah, you got to keep that gun hand strong. So thanks, Mike. Always good to see you, Mike King, Profiling Evil. Again, great channel. If you want to get facts and you don't want a boatload of speculation, I have Mike King, Police Off the Cuff, Sergeant Bill, Melanie Little, Joey Brooklyn, a couple of accounts in my suggested channels. Profiling Evil being one of them. Great friend, Mike King. You can't go wrong with him. Absolute gentleman and sticks to the facts. So yeah, the rest of this is, they're covering some of the experts. I wanted to scroll forward. To one more part, because here's another expert that they brought up, and she gives some testimony. I'll just let us all about this.
If that's resolved that way, then that's resolved that way. I think it's satisfied. So let's sustain the.
And let me just say, the audio on this was horrible. This was, if you listen to this all day long, it was a really tough listen because the audio was so crummy. It was really crappy. I wished it was better. I wish that the audio was better. But Ann Taylor calls up her, I believe, Becca Barlow, attorney and DNA expert. She's from California. I believe she was from the California area.
In our possession, but we will reach out to the lab. I do not think it is appropriate for counsel to call an expert witness as an attorney to discuss and relitigate a discovery dispute that was addressed this morning.
So the state was objecting to this this expert that the defense was calling up, but she gets overruled, and the expert witness goes up.
It's not an appropriate thing for a fact witness to testify. It might be helpful if the court understood why we want those wider.
Okay, I'll overrule that, and just to get some understanding why that is important, even though the state has already said that we can provide it.
Why would we want that scope of corrective action and full consideration?
Well, I think it's
All right. Again, I don't want to put you through this because this audio is horrible. But again, if you want to listen to it, I'll link it down below in the description. This concludes the live stream. I believe that the defense, Bill Thompson, Latah County prosecutor, has a strong case against Bryan Kohberger. Despite, listen, I respect everybody's opinion. This is not me dissing anybody who believes they got the wrong guy, who believes that the case is weak, because I value your opinions and I allow everybody to have civil, respectful conversations. It's not all about preaching my thoughts. I like to get your thoughts as well. So I encourage you to leave in the comments section what your thoughts are on this case. But I believe that the state has a strong case. I think the totality of all the evidence combined with the forensic computer work that was done. We haven't even heard about Bryan Kohberger's searches extensively. We'll hear about that in court. I know that there is a lot of them listed in documents, but we'll hear more in depth his online footprint, We didn't hear about text messages that possibly were sent from him on social media apps. We heard little bits and pieces of it. But remember, the video evidence, the computer forensic evidence, the geofencing, and all of it packaged up together is going to be damning against Bryan Kohberger. Again, innocent until proven guilty. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. Again, I want to thank each and every one of you for the live views, the live interaction, the comments that you leave below, the super chats. I want to just go to them, make sure I didn't miss any of them. So Karen Bookout, thank you for your super chat. Surprised they haven't gone for a change of venue. Southwest 4x4 Explorer, thank you for being here. Julie, thank you for being a member for 21 months. I respect and appreciate you. Obsessed for Disneyland, thank you for becoming a channel member. Retta, thank you for the Ortham Labs doing a great job. I agree, they're phenomenal. Southwest 4x4, thank you for the super chat in regards to CC Moore. Mark Zayas, my warehouse manager and fellow co-worker over at the job site. Thank you for being in here and sending some funny money to me. Michelle, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate you. Marty, thank you for good content. Wow. Thank you for thanking me. I appreciate that. Robbie from Australia says, I love this channel. I love you right back, my brother from another mother. There's my poll. If you think they have the right perp, being Bryan Kohberger, press a 1. If you think they got the wrong perp, press a 2. We're still holding close to 90% on the number ones and 10% on the number twos. Robbie, thank you again for the super sticker. Galen, thank you for being a YouTube member. Barbara George, always love and respect. You're classy as well. And thank you for being a part of the chat. Pippi Longstockings, love that screen name. Thank you for your YouTube membership. The memberships help us to help others. Karen Bookout, surprised they haven't gone for a change of venue. I think I covered these. I want to just individually call them out. Southwest 4x4, thank you for your comments. Tara, happy Saturday, everyone. Much love and respect. Kitchen Gadget Queen. Wow, love that screen name. Welcome, and thank you for becoming a member. Tara, live is more interactive. I agree. And that's what we're doing here right now. Sherry, thank you for being a member for 10 months. And Kel, thank you for all you do. DutyRon, speedy recovery. Thank you. I got to keep moving this thing because it gets a little stiff. So let's go to the chat. Hashtag DutyRon on any questions before we close, because we're at that hour mark. I don't like to go past an hour. Team Brittany and everybody, thank you for being here. This channel is great, says Cheesy Mary, Cheesy63 Mary. This channel is great, always informative from a police perspective. Abso-freaking-lutely. That's the only way that you're going to get it here from my experience, and nothing is scripted. We're just talking. Yeah, Nancy, the audio was horrible on the court live streams. Terrible. It was really bad. Jeffrey, thank you for being here, a member for a whole year. So happy I was here. So happy to have you. Chris Miller's putting a 1 in the chat. Deco Paint and T says this is the best channel for down-to-earth correct info. I don't always get it 100% right, but I do try to get it. If I make a mistake, I try to just correct that. So Becky Barnes puts DutyRon on the hot seat, and I want to say thank you to Becky. Thank you for putting me on the hot seat. I love it, Becky. Do you think Bryan Kohberger is the right guy? Yes. Yeah. I'm a number 1. I put a number 1 in the chat. I already did it. I manually did it. Yes. I feel like they got the right guy. And there's nobody else out there. There's not a killer that's loose that they didn't. This is the guy. But it's up to the Latah County prosecutor, Bill Thompson, and his team to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. So I thank you for that. Let's check and see if anybody else has anything. Karen, Legal Minded Friend, says at DutyRon's all about truth and justice for the victims and their families. Yes, absolutely. By the way, if you want to support EquiSearch Midwest. These wristbands are up on DutyRon.com. You could purchase them, and any of the purchase, any of the funds from the purchase goes to helping search for the missing. I was on the phone with Dave Rader yesterday. He called me to wish me well on my, to see how my surgery was going. Ann Taylor wearing a mask didn't help either. Maybe somebody that was close in that table was sick, or maybe Kohberger, because he's in jail. Maybe she's worried that he could be exposed to COVID. You don't know why she had that mask on. I saw that she had a black mask. I wasn't going to make a big deal of it because it's everybody's prerogative to wear a mask. So, Kel, thank you for that question. She's wearing a black mask. So what? I mean, I know that it didn't help with the audio, but even the people who weren't masked up, you couldn't hear them. It was just horrible. So, yeah, I'm sure people will make a full live streams about Ann Taylor and wearing the mask. What is the projected length of the trial? I heard 6 to 8 weeks, which is long. But I didn't hear anything official. That was from a non-official source, but we'll have to see. I would say at least a good month, at least a good month for this trial, a good month. I wanted to see your next qualifying scores, DutyRon. I'm not sure what that is. Oh, you mean where I shoot? Yes. Okay, I got it. Run the World says, I think everyone should lay off Ann Taylor until she does something unethical. She's just doing her job. Her job is to defend Bryan Kohberger, So yeah, good. That's a good comment right there. Is this just a sneaky attempt to sway people? Listen, it doesn't matter what anybody thinks right now. What's going to matter is when the jury goes and deliberates and they come back with either a guilty or a not guilty. So all of this banter means ungats. It means, hold on, what does it mean? It means nothing.
Bueller.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
It's a pretty good one. I like that one.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Certainly true. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Yeah, I love it too. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. I appreciate everyone's commentary. Leave me comments down below. Let me know what you thought of this live stream. Share it out onto your social media platform. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not yet subscribed to Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. I thank you all for hanging out and having some fun on Saturday. We try to combine. We try to combine, these tough conversations along with a little bit of humor, because humor fixes all anxieties and all kinds of different PTSD issues. If you could get someone to laugh, even if it's just for a minute, then I feel it's a win, because we all listen to this doom and gloom. If you're a true crime enthusiast like I am, if you love true crime, there's not a lot of good to report on true crime. But when you do get the opportunity to report good, you got to go with that, and you got to highlight and bring out some of the good that overshadows all the horror. So appreciate everyone subscribing. Appreciate the thumbs up and the likes. Thank you all from Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. I want to just say this: God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. And God bless each and every one of us here in the chat, but especially all victims of crime and their families. We send Zaina Knodel, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, and their entire family and friends, and all of the investigators and the prosecution and the defense, strength, prayers, and positive vibes. I thank you for joining, and stand by for a message from our cop team. It's Kara, Oscar, and Popeye.